Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Whitney and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I am Tennille.
And I am Whitney. And today we have entered the realm of Japan for 1983. And we're gonna be here for a while.
Said it before, I'll say it again. This is just going to become more and more common. I mean, it already has been more and more common. Japan just releases a lot of animated films.
Oh yeah, and for some reason they're a lot more likely to have dates for their movie releases compared to a lot of other countries. So most of the dated movies are Japanese movies, and then we get to the end and we have like random obscure movies that we couldn't even find dates for. And that's how we do it. I guess I don't know if we've ever pointed that out, but we always go in chronological order. So we do anything that has a specific day, like a month and a year.
Like a release day. Like, this film was released February 11th, 1983.
Yeah.
Specifically.
So that's why we're doing it so early. It was the first Japanese film released. And then anything that doesn't have a specific day, we just know the year, we watch at the end.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to be in Japan for quite a while. There is one movie in the middle of all these Japanese films from Australia. But this year in particular, it's literally just Japan all the way down. And then we start touching, like, America and Canada and South Korea and stuff like that.
I gotta say, so far, off to a pretty good start.
Yeah. Anyways, this movie we watched was Urusei Yatsura.
Subtitle Only You.
Yes. This is from Studio Pierrot?
Perot, I think, is how you would say it. It's the same studio that has made a whole bunch of series, including like Naruto, Bleach, I think Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay. So they've been around for a while. I think this is the first film we've seen from them, though.
I think so, too. I would have to go and double check that, but I think that's correct.
It feels fairly accurate. I also want to say thank you, Orbited Star, for sending this movie to us. This was a physical movie that we had got to watch.
Yeah, so we have the DVD for this one and everything. It's lovely. Obviously, it's one of those DVDs that, like, there was only $5 put into, like, the production of the DVDs, but the people who put the DVDs together still cared a lot.
They had a lot of heart. And it was a mess.
It was kind of a mess.
The DVD menus and stuff were just like those really early DVD menus. It was really bad, but I appreciate it.
It came with a little insert in the like DVD jacket explaining a bit of the history of the movie and the series and like the characters, and in the DVD itself it had bonus features to explain the characters a little bit, which is nice because this is definitely one of those movies that more so just feels like a really long episode.
Yes, so Urusei Yatsura was a manga turned into an anime, and by the time that this movie came out, there had been, I don't know, plenty of episodes. You are expected to know the main cast at this point going into the movie.
Yeah.
Which, spoilers, we didn't, but it's pretty easy to catch up on most of what was going on.
Yeah, after like 10-15 minutes, you're like, okay, I get what's going on. It does really throw you into the deep end, though. Like, it sets up this backstory between this boy and this girl, and then, you know, it moves to the present time, and you're like, okay, wait, is this the girl that we're talking about? Because she's also an alien.
How about... Okay. So, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to take a stab at how I think an average Urusei Yatsura episode goes down.
Go for it. I mean, I'm not going to be able to correct you.
No. I'm telling people listening to this. People in the comments, let me know how accurate this is. So, we have the main character, Ataru Moroboshi, who is a lecherous high school student, goes after the newest pretty girl he finds. This is the point of the episode. He goes after the newest pretty girl, but there is Lum, who is an alien princess Oni. Like, specifically, they are Oni. They are...
Demon.
like demons. They got horns. They dress in tiger skins. They have electric powers. She is infatuated with Ataru Maraboshi. And presumably in the first couple episodes, they get, like, bonded or something. And she follows him around, calling him darling and stuff. So, in an average episode, Ataru meets a new girl, chases after her. Lum is unhappy with this and zaps him a whole bunch. Hijinks ensue.
Yeah.
By the end of the episode, they are presumably... Ataru is no longer chasing the girl.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. Like, that's the premise of the show. And with that being said, I want to say that while I really enjoyed this film, it definitely has tropes that I'm just kind of like, I don't care about these at all. In fact, I avoid these tropes most of the time if I can, manage it. But for what it is, it's really well done. And
this is like a predecessor to a lot of like harem animes.
Yes.
Where there's one guy and a million girls who fall in love with him. But this is different because most of the girls don't love him back. It's only Lum. Right.
It's just played for laughs. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy first and a romance second.
Yes.
How about we go into the plot of this movie now?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to lay a little bit of groundwork of what I presume the show is like so that people going into this have an idea of what's going on if they also were not familiar with Urusei Yatsura to begin with.
So, go ahead. Tell us about the plot.
So, this movie starts with a beautiful intro that is done completely in black, white, and red. Silhouettes. It's telling the story of a small pair of children playing a game on a playground where...
Shadow tag.
Shadow tag, yes. Where the boy is trying to step on the girl's shadow. And then at the end, he does. And she's like, oh, okay. That means from where I'm from, that means we need to get married. And he's like, okay, I'll be back in 11 years to pick you up. And then she gets taken by a spaceship and leaves.
Yep.
And the boy's like, 11 years? Yeah, whatever. And completely forgets this exists. We are now in the present day. That boy was Ataru. And now there is an alien going around and giving wedding invitations to everybody in the main cast of the show, saying that Ataru is going to be getting married to someone named L. Ataru is not aware that this is hataru, so everyone's giving him dirty looks and stuff. And then Lum finds out too, and everyone's like, who is L, Ataru? And he's like, I have no idea. Spaceship comes down, here to pick up Ataru for his wedding. And he's like, oh, I'm getting married to this person, L. Apparently she's super duper hot.
She's the princess of her planet.
I think she's the queen of her planet.
Yeah, the queen princess
ruler
of her planet.
Apparently smoking hot, and our main character's just like, cool, got it, love it, let's do it.
Heck yeah, let's go. 'Cause he's a moron.
He's a moron.
He's just, I wouldn't say a lovable moron, but you're just like, yeah, this is just one of those guys that just has absolutely zero integrity.
Oh, absolutely. You're supposed to laugh at him getting beat up most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he definitely brings it on himself most of the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lum is obviously not happy about this.
Darling!
So, she decides to kidnap him, along with most of the cast, so that she can get married to him before that other wedding happens.
You go, girl.
So she does this, takes them to the main spaceship of the Oni, with, like, her dad, who's the leader of the Oni and stuff. This spaceship is intercepted by the planet L's forces. And then we get what I think is probably one of the more amusing scenes of the movie, where Lum and Ataru are having a conversation about what is love worth and what are you willing to do for love. Intercut with the army of the Oni being told to go out there and die for love and for this wedding and stuff. It's just like, Ataru was like, is it really worth dying for love? And then it cuts to like an army sergeant saying, go out there and die for this love. And it just keeps going back and forth like 4 or 5 times. It's very well done.
That's what I think. See, so most of these tropes are not my thing, you know? Like, I look at this kind of thing a lot of the time and I'm just like, man, this girl deserves better, and man, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And, like, I still look at it this way, but I think the difference for me is that it's very self-aware that that's the dynamic here.
Oh, yeah.
She absolutely deserves better, and he's a total piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then it just takes it to, like, the ridiculous extremes, which makes this, like, a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. One of L's forces does sneak in, steals Ataru and the wedding party from Earth, and takes them to Planet L, where they meet Queen L herself, and she is drop-dead gorgeous. And immediately Ataru falls for her, and L mistakes who her spouse-to-be is.
Yeah, she immediately jumps on this other guy.
This other guy who's like a super rich bajillionaire from Earth.
Yeah.
So she meets up with the bajillionaire in the middle of the night as like a secret rendezvous. Ooh, scandalous. And she takes him to her secret bunker where it's full of 99,999 other frozen hot anime boys. And he will be her 100,000th love, quote unquote. She's got a collection of hot anime boys. Unbeknownst to these...
Well, okay, it's also funny because, you know,
like, this is the reverse.
We brought up the harem anime, like this being a predecessor to the harem anime thing. But literally, Ataru, our main character, was talking about how, like, if I'm with the queen, that'll make me, like, the ruler, and then I can make my own harem. And then, you know, obviously that gets swapped because he's an idiot, and...
the queen he's about to marry already has her own harem.
They're just popsicles.
Yes.
In the freezer.
Unbeknownst to the queen, they were followed by Ataru and the rest of them. They find out Ataru no longer wants to marry her because he thinks this is uncool, even though he would absolutely do the exact same thing.
Right.
Because, you know...
reverse sexism, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
blah, 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 blah. Anyways, he is still forced to marry the queen, but Lum and another group of, like, alien characters from the show show up, ruin the wedding. They free all the pretty boys who storm the wedding, shooting guns, explosions. It's hilarious.
They just start a riot.
Because it's 100,000 pretty boys just destroying everything. It's so funny. Hijinks ensue, and the main cast is thrown through warp time space on accident, which sends them all back to the past, to the day where L and Ataru were playing on the playground doing shadow tag. And so they get to watch the shadow tag take place, and they realize Ataru lied as a child. He didn't actually step on her shadow. The wedding vows are null and void, and this shouldn't happen. Which is so dumb.
Yeah, it's...
So they all get out of this space-time hole. Elle calls off the wedding with tears in her eyes. And Lum and Ataru and crew leave. And Ataru is just happy that this is all over. And then...
Well, and we get a sweet moment between Lum and Ataru where, like, they kind of reciprocate each other's feelings for a little bit. And then
the door opens on the elevator, and the wedding is set up for their wedding.
Yeah.
Like, it's set up so that Lum can marry Ataru, and he's like, cool. No, fuck this, I'm out. And he immediately runs away, and the movie ends.
Yeah, just, right back at square one.
This is very silly.
Very silly movie.
Very enjoyable.
Very enjoyable. Even though it has a whole lot of similarities to a few things we've seen before here on Animation Pilgrimage, particularly things like, Dr. Slump. I'm even going to say, like, the Rose of Versailles, and maybe, like, a little bit of Yamato with, like, the whole, like, space theme, sci-fi stuff. Like, this is very different from most anything that we've seen so far on AP.
Absolutely. Like, there might have been, like, anime shows that were more similar to this, but this is the first time a film has done this level of comedy and self-awareness from Japan.
Comedy and taken its... I don't want to say, like, taken its characters seriously, but, like, the characters feel more fleshed out. It's more about, like, the big personalities going on rather than the big circumstances going on.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
It's more about the character dynamics and less about the overarching plot.
The interpersonal drama between the characters. And I think that's a lot of fun. I've always preferred, like, you can have a fun story, but if you don't have good characters to go along with it, like, it really drags it down. You can tell any story if you've got, like, good characters. And I think that's what makes this enjoyable for me, is it's got those good characters. They're just kind of fun to be around, no matter what the story itself is.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is actually a movie I definitely would recommend. What I think is so interesting about it is that it's this series, not just this movie, but this anime series, this manga, is highly influential for this type of, like, rom-com adventure story moving forward in its genre. And so the manga was created by Rumiko Takahashi, who is, of course, not only the creator of this, but also Inuyasha, which is probably the more famous of the two.
Yeah, I think more people nowadays know Inuyasha.
Yeah. Obviously a well-respected and famous mangaka. This was directed by Mamoru Oshii, who is also the director for many an amazing film, such as, like, Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And he was actually not super pleased with how this film turned out. He said, it's no film, it failed to be a film. And I don't disagree with him.
It definitely feels like a long episode.
It feels like a long episode of a TV show, but he does go on to direct the sequel, a second Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of these theatrically released here, one after another each year.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be watching more Urusei Yatsura coming up.
Yeah, so in 1984, our next Animation Pilgrimage year, he directs Beautiful Dreamer, and I didn't see what his comments were on that one, but I can only assume that it's kind of like a fix-it film, because he was unsatisfied with how this one turned out. One of the things I think is most interesting about this series is actually the title. Urusei Yatsura is actually a pun. It roughly translates to, like, annoying, obnoxious people. If you're just, like, reading it aloud. Urusei is, like, annoying, obnoxious, irritating. And Yatsura means, like, people. But because of the way it is spelled in Japanese, Urusei is actually written with a character for a Chinese character for the word planet. So it's actually a pun that in English would roughly translate to, like, these obnoxious aliens, these selfish aliens.
Okay.
Which
Japan is able to get away with stuff like that so much easier than English speakers, just because of how their language works.
Exactly.
Because they use kanji for a lot of things. And kanji can be read in like 7 different ways sometimes. Not always, but like there are multiple ways to read kanji. So it's very common in Japanese that when you introduce yourself, you could be like, my name is this, spelled with this and this. So kind of like you could have the same name spelled multiple ways here, but there it gives completely different meaning because it's like I'm spelled with the meaning with the kanji for moon and stars as compared to like knife and punch. Obviously that's just an exaggeration, but it's that kind of thing where it's like my name is the same as that person's, but it has a completely different connotation.
Right.
So you can do really silly punny things like Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah, which I just think I love the way the language is able to, like, make puns like that and put in, like, a different meaning just based on the wordplay that you use. I think that's a lot of fun, and obviously that hits my sense of humor. Like, right on.
It's just frustrating that it's hard to get that in a different language.
Yeah, it's like impossible to translate that without just explaining it like I just explained it to you.
And that, like, explaining the joke ruins the joke, you know?
The manga itself ran from 1978 to 1987, which when I looked at those numbers, my brain did a little dyslexia, and I was like,
So it ran for 9 years.
Yes.
Okay.
From 78 to 87. Even just now, my brain was like, I don't like that. And also, this particular movie uses some fairy tale inspiration, specifically inspired by the tale of Urashima Taro, which is like the fairy tale of Princess Otohime, like, coming up and talking to the fisherman and
Okay.
that kind of thing. It like the whole fairy tale setup of, like, I'm a being from far away, but we are engaged, and now I will come and get you later, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I think that's really all I have to say about this one. This is definitely a influential one for its time. I'd say check it out, or maybe check out one of its sequels.
Or the show.
Or the show,
Yeah.
you know.
Like, this definitely seems like something that could be very enjoyable to consume. And, yeah, I would definitely suggest it. Check it out. I enjoyed it. I will not mind watching more of it in the future.
Yeah.
Either way, join us back here next time as, like I said, we will be staying in Japan, and we will be watching Crusher Joe. Genuinely have no idea what this is about. Maybe boxing.
Yeah, it's like, I think we watched one other anime that was something Joe.
That was Tomorrow's Joe, which was about boxing.
Joe, that's
But
right.
which makes me think that Crusher Joe is not actually about boxing, and I'm just confusing it with Tomorrow's Joe.
That's right, yeah. Who knows? We'll find out next week. See you then.